And for more, I'm joined by our international affairs commentator, Doug Herbert. So, Doug, Antony Blinken, he's been a lot of different places, Oslo, next Finland.
Yes.
This all comes a day after the U.S. approved an additional $300 million in aid for Ukraine. And ahead of this big NATO meeting in July, Ukraine is really at the center of the agenda, isn't it?
Yeah, look, all roads, geopolitical, not geopolitical, all roads lead to Ukraine these days. When NATO meets, when European bodies meet, when any multinational organization meets, it is going to be talking about Ukraine. And more specifically, what is this NATO summit going to be talking about? Because our viewers might be saying, wait a second, another NATO meeting? These NATO meetings, they happen all the time. Which one is this? This, to be specific, is a foreign ministers meeting. So the 30 NATO foreign ministers of those member nations all meeting in Oslo. And what they're basically doing is laying the groundwork. This is sort of the curtain raiser for the big act coming up next month, mid-July in Vilnius, Lithuania. That is where NATO is really going to set its panoramic vision for how it intends to extend security guarantees in what form to Ukraine so that it can face up to Russian aggression, not just now in the present, but more importantly, in the future, to deter future aggression from Russia. And yes, I'm choosing these words carefully, to deter future aggression from Russia, because let's not mince words here. This is about, right now, a clear and present threat from a neighboring country, Russia, which since its full-scale invasion last year has basically been seizing territory, illegally occupying territory, and launching wave after wave of missile and drone strikes against a sovereign Ukraine. And for NATO, as Macron said yesterday, Emmanuel Macron, in a speech at a security conference in Slovakia, this has been a real jolt, a wake-up call writ large for the Western alliance. We've been saying it for a while, but it bears reiteration. Every time they meet, there seems to be a new development in this war against Ukraine that adds to the urgency of that wake-up call. Zelensky's been making a plea, on the eve of this NATO summit. He wants security guarantees. As soon as this war ends, he wants to know that even if he wants to have a clear signal of when Ukraine will be admitted to the Western alliance as a member. A lot of members say it should happen right away. As soon as this conflict is settled, Ukraine should have an inroad into that alliance. The U.S. has been a holdout. The U.S. Has basically been more vague, as since 2008, when Ukraine first sort of put its membership bid on the table. It will happen, but that day is not tomorrow when that happens. In the meantime, Zelensky desperately wants security guarantees for now and in the future.
In the meantime, Blinken has been pushing for Sweden to be admitted to NATO, something that's been blocked by Turkey. Do you think we'll see any breakthroughs there?
Yeah, it had been blocked by both Turkey and Hungary. What we saw is Finland was admitted. Turkey basically lifted its essential veto because in order for a new member to enter the alliance, I said there are 30 NATO members, there has to be unanimity. All of them have to vote in favor. Turkey has been the blocking factor here, and the reason being because it had issues, I'm putting that mildly, euphemism, issues with Sweden's approach to its Kurdish community there, a community that Turkey considers to be perhaps an extension of a terrorist group, the PKK group that it considers terrorists. So that's been the holdup here. Blinken has made the case. Other alliance members have made the case that at this point, Sweden has very clearly addressed what Sweden has called Turkey's legitimate security concerns. So trying to be very conciliatory, trying to make it clear, we've heard you, Turkey. We understand your concerns. We're doing everything in our power to meet them. So they're really trying to hasten the admission of Sweden. And it is perhaps seen, now that Erdogan has been reelected, perhaps this will be a goodwill gesture, a bone to the West and the NATO alliance to show that he's not in all cases, their arch enemy all the time and working at cross purposes, trying to be a disruptive force left and right, that yes, it will green light Sweden's accession bid sooner rather than later.
Okay, international affairs commentator Douglas Herbert. Doug, thanks as always.